So today for our cancellation, I want to briefly revisit the conversation we had yesterday to start the show about prostitution and pornography, especially the kind you find on sites like OnlyFans. Many prominent voices on the left, including AOC and the ACLU and many others, have recently been promoting prostitution, in particular cyber prostitution, as real work. Sex work is real work, they say. Now, I made the case that if a woman getting paid to take off her clothes on camera is doing real work, which I don't think she is, but if she is, it's certainly a very different kind of work from the type performed by members of legitimate and noble professions. A prostitute is selling her dignity for profit. She is debasing herself for the enjoyment of strangers. It is a shameful, dirty, bad way to make a living, and it should not be normalized or mainstreamed or promoted. Now, the first thing to realize about my point on this subject is that it is completely obvious, and nearly everyone in the world would have agreed with it up until 12 seconds ago. I have, and this happens to me a lot, I've received a hell of a lot of backlash for saying something that 10 billion people throughout history have already said, and that nearly everyone would have taken for granted as a simple and incontrovertible fact. It has never been easier to be controversial, to be a provocateur. All you have to do is say stuff like, it's not good to be a prostitute, or men don't menstruate. And suddenly you become edgy. You're edgy now for saying that, when in reality, you're saying the least edgy things a person could possibly say. But the left has been so successful in their war on reality and on common sense and on basic human decency and morality that even people who are not on the left now, suddenly, are treating these common sense propositions as controversial, if not outright unspeakable. With all that said, I have one other point I wanted to make in relation to this topic, and I hesitate to make it only because I fear that I might be giving my critics too much credit with this argument that I will present. I'm not sure if I hope I'm not giving them too much credit, but the point is this. If you're a parent and you're also among the people who have gotten angry at me for saying that prostitution and pornography are shameful and debasing industries, and that neither women nor men should be involved in it, and that it's bad it's bad for everybody involved. If you disagree, and again, if you're a parent yourself, then why don't you want your own daughter to be a prostitute or a porn star? Now, like I said, I may be giving you too much credit. It's possible that you're even more depraved than I anticipate. But my guess is that for all of your talk about the validity and nobility and empowerment of prostitution, you have not ever and would not ever encourage your daughter to grow up and become one. You have not and would not look at a little 7-year-old girl in your home who you love and wish to protect and think to yourself, I really hope she sets up an OnlyFans account when she's old enough. I'm guessing and certainly hoping that you have never, ever, ever had that thought and never would have it. But why? I mean, you say it's empowering and liberating for women to do this. You say it's noble, it's good. Why don't you want your daughter to do this empowering, liberating thing? Don't you want her to be liberated? You know, it's also empowering and liberating to be a mother, a doctor, a scientist, a business owner, an artist. And you probably would be quite happy for your daughter to become any one of those things, wouldn't you? In fact, you may even actively want them to become one of those things or something similar. And if you notice as your child grows older that she has a proclivity for science or medicine or art, you would start guiding her in a certain direction so that she can one day have a career in those fields. Yet as your child grows older and she spends time on social media, if she starts acting inappropriately there, you would never in a million years, upon finding out about that, say to your daughter, you know, you might have a great future as a prostitute. Why? Why wouldn't you say that? You're saying this is a good thing, yet you wouldn't want your child to do it. That's strange, isn't it? So again, I ask why. Well, I know why, of course. You don't want your daughter in this life because it's a shameful, degrading life. And women who do it are prone to become drug addicts and to kill themselves. In fact, a great many prostitutes, as studies have repeatedly shown, have a history of being sexually abused too. That is what propels people to get into this line of work, a history of abuse and neglect. You know that porn and prostitution are things that damaged people do. And if your child ends up doing it, it means that they are damaged. You don't want your child to be damaged. You don't want her to make a living as masturbation fodder for creeps on the internet or glorified sex toys for guys they meet in motel rooms. You don't want that for her, I hope. You don't want it because you love your child. I would suggest this. If there is something that you wouldn't ever want anyone you love to ever do, then you shouldn't want anyone to do it. Now, there are other things. A parent might be apprehensive about their son joining the military for fear of his safety, but they would still be proud that he joined, right? I mean, their heart would swell with pride when he went off to basic training. Would your heart swell with pride the first time your daughter goes to have sex with a customer in his car? Would your eyes well up with tears of happiness upon hearing that your daughter earned her first subscriber on OnlyFans? No, it wouldn't, because you don't want that for her. You don't, because in your heart, you know that I'm right about everything I'm saying, and you're wrong. And that's why you don't want it for her. But you do want it for other people's kids, because you don't care about them. It's really what this comes down to. Yes, these girls are degrading themselves, but you personally don't care if they do. You might even enjoy it when they do, because you don't know them and aren't related to them and don't love them. That's your position, if you're being honest about it. Your position is, yes, Matt, you're right, it's degrading, but I don't care. And for that reason, you're canceled. Though I would invite anyone, if you are a parent, and you want to prove me wrong, and you want to come out publicly and say, no, I want my daughter to be a prostitute. You go ahead and do that. You go ahead and do that. Prove me wrong. But I don't think you will. Because again, I'm right. 100%. And you're 100% wrong. And also canceled. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.